What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Taurean Rain Reloaded channel. If you are new, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button and hit that bell and have your notifications set to all so you will be notified whenever I upload a new video or go live. Also, be sure to like, comment, and share this content on your various social media platforms. So today, we will be talking about Samuel L. Jackson. And let's just say that Samuel L. Jackson pretty much laid the hammer down on a topic that we over here have been talking about when it comes to the Academy Awards or the Oscars and how they decide to award black talent, whether they are in front or behind the camera, depending on whatever the case may be. So Sam Jackson basically came out and said that the Oscars tend to award black actors and actresses for playing the stereotypical role. And he basically came out and said, I should have won an Oscar for playing Steven in Django, probably one of the worst characters I've ever seen on screen since Monique and Precious as far as black actors and actresses go. And he felt he should have won that because based on their standards, that was a shoo-in of a win. Of course, we know, if you remember, with Django Unchained, I don't even think he was nominated for that role. I think the only people that was nominated in that movie was Christoph Waltz, who played the guy who basically saved Django. I guess you can say he was like the white savior. He was the white savior who ended up like I guess you can say Django ended up being his sidekick or whatever. He was the one that took out Leonardo DiCaprio's character, who was Calvin Candy. And it's crazy because when this movie was advertised, like in the trailers and whatnot, you would watch it and think that Leonardo DiCaprio's character was the worst thing, just looking at the previews, until you watch the movie and realize the Steven character that was played by Sam Jackson was the absolute worst. I hated him just as much, if not more, than Calvin Candy. I wanted to reach to the screen and cap his ass my damn self, and I know I'm not the only one. And I'm sure Sam Jackson, if he ever looked at that performance even one time, he probably was like, man, this character is absolutely downright evil and disgusting in so many ways than one. And it's crazy because a lot of people did not know what a Sambo or a coon was until they saw this role. They probably had no idea, but like I said, there's a lot of Stevens in our community. A lot of people that could potentially even be on the same level as him if you give them the chance to be that. But he came out and he said that I should have won an Oscar for that role because I checked off all the boxes as far as black talent playing this type of role. Like, really think about that. This guy played the ultimate tap dancer. And it was so eerie how on point that it was, to the point where if we didn't know how if how Samuel Jackson was off screen, we would probably swear up and down that was really him. Like, everybody I think who watched that movie, even the first time, hated his character. And I think it was very fitting that the person to take him out was Django. I think that was the ultimate way to get him up out of here. I don't think I would have received it well if anyone else took his character out. But I'm going to go ahead and read this article that's coming from the LA Times, and he's going to go into more depth about why he said what he said. This article was posted June 14th, 2022. If you want to soak in a moment of pure joy, and who doesn't these days, watching Samuel L. Jackson receive an honorary Oscar from Denzel Washington at this year's Governor's Award should do the trick. Jackson and Washington go way back to early New York theater days when Washington was an understudy on a play called The Mighty Gents that Jackson was doing for the public theater under Joseph Papp. Washington ended up going on stage opening night after the actor he was backing up was fired, and of course Washington killed it. He just showed me the review of that show not long ago, Jackson says. He kept the review. Of course he did, Jackson says, bursting out in laughter. People see Denzel and think he's the serious actor and family man, and some people think he's a little grumpy, Jackson tells me. But he's one of the funniest people on the planet, and it was so great to have somebody present my award who's been on my journey to look at him and know he was there, and he's still there. Jackson and I are hanging out, the 73-year-old actor, impeccably dressed with matching burgundy Kangol cap and suede Stan Smiths. We're talking about that Oscar weekend, his career choices, and his latest project, the well-deserved Apple TV Plus series, The Last Days of Ptolemy Gray. in which he plays a 91-year-old coping with Alzheimer's until he takes a miracle drug which turns him into the Samuel L. Jackson persona we know and love. I kept telling people not to get triggered by episode 1, Jackson says, because there's light at the end of the tunnel. Sure, you'll cry, but you'll laugh too. There was a fair amount of the latter in our conversation. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift around a little bit, because basically what I'm reading, or what I was going to read, was turning into more like an interview type of thing, but I just wanted to skip to the point about why I'm making this video. This is for moviegoers. The MCU star's turn as the self-hating Stephen Warren was one of the highlights of the controversial film Django Unchained. Some viewers thought Jackson would only receive his second Oscar nomination in his storied career. Unfortunately, things didn't pan out. The Paws of Fury actor mentioned to the Los Angeles Times that his work with the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood director gave him plenty of opportunities to score multiple Oscar nominations or wins. With Django Unchained Steven, Jackson felt like his best shot for a disturbing reason. Everything I've done for Quentin has a moment that's given me an opportunity, from Jackie Brown to The Hateful Eight to Django Unchained. Django was probably my best shot because it's the most evil character I've ever played, and they generally reward black people for playing horrendous shit. That was his quote. Looking at the Academy's history, the Hollywood star wasn't wrong. Denzel Washington and Forest Whitaker didn't win their well-deserved Oscars until they played downright despicable characters in Training Day and The Last King of Scotland, respectively. Some Oscar wins from black actors and actresses haven't been the most positive representation of black culture, but in recent years the tide has changed as performers are being nominated and winning for more well-rounded roles. Chasing an Oscar was never Samuel L. Jackson's focus, as he just wanted to make movies for viewers to get out of themselves. Of course, the infamous popular film Oscar was mentioned, and he felt the award should have been implemented as a way to acknowledge popularity and artistry could share the same space. But the award ceremony was already a popularity contest according to Jackson. He revisited losing the Best Supporting Actor Oscar to Hollywood legend Martin Landau led to that rude awakening. That is cinema. That's what we go into the big dark room to do, to be entertained. That's what we're celebrating. The big shit that happened in Hollywood. Best actor, best actress, that's some bullshit. That's a popularity contest, or so I heard way back when Martin Landau got the award for Ed Wood and I didn't. Come on, and he said, whispers, come on, Sam. Martin's been nominated so many times. Don't worry, your time is coming. Excuse me? I didn't know that's how it worked. I thought it was the acting performance that made the most impact. So this guy, listen, Sam Jackson is literally dropping some heavy gems right here. He's at the point of half past not giving a fuck. He basically said what we already knew when it came to black actors and actresses and the type of roles they get nominated and win for. And then he's talking about, and this is something I've heard too, oh, this person has been acting for so long, they've been nominated for so long, this is the time to actually get it. Then that's when it turns into a popularity thing. It should never be about that, though. It doesn't matter how many years you have under your belt in acting. It should go to the person for the person who gave the best performance. And of course, with this, they're talking about his performance in Pulp Fiction. That's what they were talking about here, in which a lot of people thought he was a shoo-in to win. Many film buffs and Oscar watchers have acknowledged that most Oscar wins are a culmination of a body of work rather than a single performance. Landau was 4 decades into his career when he won for playing the outlandish Bela Lugosi in the biopic Ed Wood. The same thing happened when Al Pacino won for A Sin of a Woman over Washington's acclaimed performance in Malcolm X. Of course, now Samuel L. Jackson has an Oscar to put on his mantle. Not that having one hasn't hurt his career either, as seen in the plethora of Marvel and non-Marvel projects. The iconic actor is coming out over the next few years. In the meantime, viewers can hear him in Paws of Fury, The Legend of Hank, when it arrives in theaters July 15th. Now, with the Oscar they're talking about, of course, is the honorary Oscar in which he received at the Governor's, I think it's called the Governor's Ball. That happens the night before the Oscars air, in which that was presented to him. But it's an honorary Oscar. It's just basically saying, it's almost like an honorable mention, like, here, we're giving you an Oscar because we acknowledge that you've never won. And usually honorary Oscars are given to people who have most likely been nominated for Oscars over the years and they've never won. Because Spike Lee has one. Of course, he ended up winning one for what was that movie? The Black Klansman. He ended up winning one for that. I believe it was for Best Adapted Screenplay or Best Original Screenplay. I forgot what category it was, but it was for that. But basically, to me, the honorary Oscar would not hit the same as one getting it for an actual performance. This is just like, here you go. That's how I take it. And I'm sure that's probably how Samuel L. Jackson takes it as well, and as well as a lot of other people who have received an honorary Oscar. But he basically laid it out right there that something we've all been talking about when it came to this show. They give it, or they nominate people in these roles who play some of the most despicable people in this, mainly, with the black actors and actresses. I mean, look at Halle Berry in Monsters Ball. And to this day, she's still the only black woman to win a Best Lead Actress. To this day. And that was back in 2020, 2002. So it's been 20 years. Monique and Precious. They said Forrest Whitaker. Now, there are some that kind of slip through the cracks and they don't play the stereotypical role, such as most recently Will Smith in King Richard. But they're very few and far in between. If you look at all the ones who have won, most of them are playing stereotypes. Hell, even Whoopi Goldberg, in a way, was a stereotype in the movie Ghost, because she played, I guess some people would say that she was a woman that was off her rocker, even though she helped the main character try to reconnect with his living spouse. And the thing is, the movie is it's crazy, because when she came into the scene, the tone of the movie changed. The movie went from a drama thriller to a comedy when she was on screen. Even though, if you ask anybody about the movie Ghost, a lot of people are going to reference her character a lot, especially the bank scene. That the bank scene, I will admit, is one of the funniest scenes in the entire movie. I'll admit that. But Sam Jackson wasn't lying. Black people who get nominated for these roles, for the most part, is for some of the most despicable roles. In the stereotypical roles, it can never be, as the article stated, for a well-rounded character. And he said, I should have been nominated for that role because I checked off all the stereotypical boxes. And believe it or not, there was a lot of people that felt that he should have got nominated for that role. I'll admit, as much as I hated his character, he absolutely bodied that role. I mean, like I said, I think everybody who saw that movie hated his character. Everybody. I don't know one person that said that they like Stephen from Django. Unfortunately, there's too many Stephen from Django's in real life. So I'm not even upset at what Sam Jackson said. He was actually pretty spot on with his assessment. And that's my take on it.